Hello, my dear champions, and welcome to this learning bite of Mindset of Masters. It's a famous belief, and I truly believe in the fact that if you change your mindset, you change your life. How many of us believe in that? Give me a thumbs up there. Great. So it's all about changing our mindset, right? And there is a lot of impact, huge impact of the mindset that we have in a particular situation. And all of us would have experienced it for sure in different situations. In situations where we thought, yes, there is ought to be a way out of it, we have found a way. And where we had surrendered, it was a complete loss. So we all have been right there. And it's all a mind game. And that is true for sure. So before we understand how do we develop this mindset of masters, let's understand what is mindset of masters all about. What is it about? So, and many of us usually tell ourselves that it's too late to change our habits, or we don't have enough time to learn something new. So whenever we see some good things happening around us, random people doing some absolute amazing stuff, and we feel like, oh, they're doing it so well, and I wish I could do that. But then the second thought that comes is, oh, probably it's too late for me. I have so much to do already and all of those things. So living with these limiting beliefs creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. We believe we can't, so we can't. So if we instead lived in terms of I can and I will, imagine what we could achieve. Because it all begins with us. We are absolutely in charge of what we create in our own lives. And the most important things that we create in our lives are the choices. So if we make this choice of developing and nurturing this mindset of masters, which is all about I can and I will, then there is no stopping ahead, right? So before doing anything else, let's move forward and let us have a look at 3 ways to achieve the mindset of masters. If you're ready to go along on this journey with me, give me a thumbs up. Great. Now, this is Mr. Shiv Nadar, who's the founder of HCL. And when Shiv Nadar received an investment of a few $1,000s for selling calculators and microcomputers, he knew that he needed to think bigger. He knew that he wanted to expand to international markets, and for that, he adopted a growth mindset, which enabled him to quickly get ahead in the competition. HCL soon expanded to Singapore and the Far East, generating over 1 million rupees in sales not long after its expansion. So HCL has continued to grow since, and making Nadar a billionaire worth over $12.4 billion, right? However, before this, HCL was stuck in its everyday work, and no one ever thought of any kind of expansion or growth or that leap. It was Shiv who took the initiative and took the company to soaring heights. Were there challenges? Of course, there were challenges. But because he had this growth mindset, he did not let any of these challenges, any of these hindrances, any of the roadblocks come in the way. Which brings us to our first learning of the day, which is ditch the fixed mindset and go for growth. Let's say you feel like you're not getting ahead at work, a simple situation. But the work is important. A fixed mindset says the situation is the way it is, and it will never change no matter what you do, and you get stuck, and you keep on getting stuck right there. You stay stuck right there. Compared to that, a growth mindset says you can create change if you work hard, adapt to feedback, and implement strategies for personal development if you believe in change. And that is all about a growth mindset. It goes without saying which type of people go further in their careers. Ones who believe in the fixed mindset or the ones who believe in the growth mindset. It comes down to the difference between limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. Because fixed mindset is all about limiting beliefs. This is the scope of it. This is what can happen. This is beyond which it cannot go. All these are limiting beliefs. So things have been happening like this, it is not going to change. It's again a limiting belief. So they all fall in this category, and they all contribute to fixed mindset, which talks about if things have to change, they will, somebody will change it. I am what I am and I cannot change it. And why to put efforts to change it, because it will not change. So all of these are limiting beliefs. Empowering beliefs are, no, this is not right. This is getting stuck. I need to take initiatives, I need to make efforts to change it. And that is all about empowering beliefs. I can, and I will, and I must, and I am doing it. That is all empowering beliefs. And that all contributes to growth mindset. If you believe your growth is confined to its current state indefinitely, you are unlikely to develop. You agree with me, champions? Yes, right. But if you start to believe in your capacity to achieve greatness, you will find that everything in your life will follow the suit. Yes, so we all agree on that, right? And please remember, you are in charge of your mind. You can help it grow by using it in the right way. So give it the right kind of thoughts, give it the right kind of mindset, give it the right kind of environment, give it the right kind of things that he can think about, and give it the right direction to grow. Your mind is your power. It is under your charge. So give it the right direction. Make sense? Great. So let's move on and understand and learn from this amazing individual that we have here, Colonel Sanders, right? Most of us identify him as well. He was a fellow who really loved to share his fried chicken recipe. And he had a lot of positive influence from those who tasted the chicken. Now, the colonel was retired and was up in age, and while most people believed in the sanctimony of retirement, the colonel opted to sell the world on his cool new chicken recipe. One of the most amazing aspects of his life is the fact that when he reached the age of 65, after running a restaurant for several years, Harlan Sanders found himself penniless, which was quite a turning point for him. With little in terms of means at his disposal, Colonel Sanders traveled door to door to houses and restaurants all over his local area. He wanted to partner with someone to help promote his chicken recipe. Legend has it that Colonel Sanders heard 1009 no's before he heard his first yes. But what was important as a learning for all of us is that he was not scared of failure. Instead, he was willing to fail. And therefore, he kept trying, kept trying, kept trying until he succeeded. Which brings us to our second beautiful learning of the day, which is stop fearing failure. Instead, be willing to fail. The number one reason people don't succeed is because they're afraid to fail, and they're afraid to face the consequences after they fail. This fear can even keep them from starting something in the first place. They don't even start. Forget about pursuing it. They don't even start. Many of us, most of us, there are a lot of things that we can do. It is in our capacity. But because we are not sure that we will succeed, this fear of failure stops us. Risk is scary, but stagnation is worse, isn't it? And the more you believe you'll fail, the more likely it is you will. That's what you attract. So remember, if you're not progressing, then you're failing anyways. So you're better off taking the chance, right? Now, what this really means here is that no matter what the situation is, no matter how less we think we are probable of succeeding, that one effort or that two efforts or that number of efforts that have to be put into that direction is important to be put in, because we believe in the idea. We're just not sure of our way of approaching that idea and will it work or not. But we believe in the idea. So as long as you believe in the idea, no number of trials is enough unless you succeed. Because if you believe in the idea, your mind and your entire identity will help you in achieving that. But what you really have to get over is this fear of failure, champions. And I am sure a lot of you would agree with me if I ask you, was there a time when you were scared to fail, when you had this fear of failure, but you got over it because you really believed in the idea that you were working for? And because you got over this fear of failure, you took steps, you made efforts, you put in your hard work, you put in your strategies, you worked towards that idea, and you were successful. How many of you would agree with me that yes, it has happened? When I moved beyond my fear of failure, I won, I succeeded. Yes? See, so many of you agree on that, right? So it is not something which is uncommon. It's just that we're not in the habit of getting used to our failure. Success is sweet. It's something that we all want. But success is the end product. And then we move forward, right? So success is not just the destination. It's just one of the milestones. And we need to keep moving forward. This fear of failure stops us from having so many successes in our life. So get over this fear. Even if I fail, so what? I will get another chance. I will be sure, at least I'll be learning that this is not the way to do it. And I'll try something else, some other way, some other strategy. Make sense, champions? Yes? Right. And like I already said, that risk is scary, no doubt. But stagnation is worse. Because if you're not progressing, then it's a failure in its own. And I don't want to have a failure by not doing anything. I would rather do something and fail miserably, right? Makes sense. Because then when I rise up, I rise like a phoenix and then I achieve amazing stuff in my life. Make sense? Give me a thumbs up. Great. Awesome. So, no. Always remember, no one ever fell to the top of the mountain. You can't reach the peak unless you take the first step. And do not stop yourself from taking this first step because I'm fearful or I'm scared of failure, right? So all the very best for this second idea. Now, let's move forward together, champions. This is Mr. Godrej, the Adishir Godrej. He was he co-founded the Godrej Group, and which was a diversified conglomerate with interest in real estate, consumer products, security, household appliances, and industrial tools as well. The company had modest beginnings because Mr. Godrej and his brother had failed ventures into hand-fashioned medical devices. But when they formed Godrej as a locksmith business, we all remember those Godrej locks, right? So Mr. Godrej made sure that he must diversify his business, keeping a long-term goal in mind. He knew that only one business could fail again, given to any circumstances. Therefore, he invested in his long-term vision and made Godrej the huge success that it is today. The Godrej companies together have revenues of over $4.7 billion today. What do we learn from this? Amazing. Create a long-term vision instead of only short-term goals. So before we can create a strategy and set your short-term goals, what we first need to do is write a long-term vision of success. What is it that I'm looking forward in the long run? Because it's not a matter of blindly putting one foot in front of the other. It's about shooting for the moon and working backwards to bring our vision safely back to earth. It's that kind of a thing, right? So creating a long-term vision also helps us to see the future, to foresee the future. And they say that the best way to predict your future is to create one today, because what we do today creates our future. Now, when we have the future picture clear with us, so I want these 10 things to be in place and in this order. I know when I do a backtracking or when I do a back planning, reverse planning, I know when it has to come to per day investment or contribution towards this goal, what do I need to do, right? So long-term planning helps me to dream big and achieve big. Short-term plannings do help me. So long-term planning is kind of a result goal. What is it that I really want at the end of it? But short-term goals are like performance goals. What small little efforts, contributions, hard work have to be done in order to achieve that big goal, right? So that's how it all gets connected. But in case we do not have a long-term vision and we are not thinking from all the dimensions about the work that we do or the goals that we have in our life, it is going to be an incomplete sense. And probably the short-term goals wouldn't really align with each other. But when there is a long-term goal and all the short-term goals are aligning to the spine of that long-term vision, long-term goal, everything gets in sync. And all our energies, all our hard work, every contribution gets channelized to that long-term vision, and in present, it all contributes to, similarly aligned short-term goals. Makes sense? So in case you have short-term goals in your life, amazing. That is really amazing to have short-term goals, but do check if you have a long-term goal. If you don't have that long-term goal, create that long-term vision, long-term goal for your life. and then see what all short-term goals are really contributing to achieving that long-term goal, which would make sense, right? If I don't know what's going to happen in next 10 years, but I do know what I was 10 years back. And within these 10 years, what has happened? And if I were to talk about, would there be a long-term vision that you would like to create, or what do you think would have been a long-term vision that you would have created 10 years back, for 10 years, that if you think you had said that, you would have achieved even more than what you have today? So think from that perspective. However, we can't go back 10 years, right? But we can always plan for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, right? And think about all the kinds of goals that we have around us, right? In our personal life, professional life, social goals, health goals, career goals, all of those kinds of goals that we have talked about and we know about, work towards them, but not just on short-term basis, but on long-term basis. Because when we talk about long-term basis, there are a lot of considerations that come with time, but we don't wait for that time to come into present, but we take those timely incidents or timely inclusions into consideration while planning, which creates a lot of difference in our short-term goals as well, right? Make sense? Great. Now, please believe and please note that you can't reach a destination if you don't know where you're going. So goals are important. So same goes if you're climbing the corporate ladder, switching jobs or starting a new business, right? So whatever you are doing, or you're focused on your health, social life, children, family, all of that requires you to have a goal, right? With this, champions, let's do a quick summary of 3 ways to achieve the mindset of masters. The first one is ditch the fixed mindset and go for growth. So do not think about, oh, this is not possible, this is the scope of it, there is a capping over it. No, there is no limit to it. Think about growth. Always, always think about growth. Do not settle for this cannot be done. Always ask, how can this be done? Never ever settle for this cannot be done, right? Always think about how can I make it possible? What is it that we can do that becomes possible? Make sense? And that is what growth mindset is all about. Because once we have growth mindset, nothing can stop us, right? The second idea that we learned today was stop fearing failure. Instead, be willing to fail. Be willing to fail. Be willing to fail not by not doing something, but by doing something and failing miserably at it. I'm okay with that, because then I will rise like a star. So do not let yourself stagnate. Do not let yourself not do anything because of the fear of failure. Rather do something and fail and then try again, right? And the third idea that we learned today was create a long-term vision instead of only short-term goals. Because long-term goals helps you align all your short-term goals to one central spine, which is the long-term vision. It also gets the future time inclusions and considerations and changes that will happen into your decisions of today. Because what I decide and I plan today, and what I invest in today, and what I work towards today will create my future. And if I am already taking into consideration a lot of things from the future and then making my plan, it is surely going to benefit me much more than only the goals that are based out of only the present time, right? So these were the 3 ideas that we learned today, and if we work with these 3 ideas amazingly well, there's no stopping, right, champions? And therefore, congratulations, you are all set to win with these 3 amazing ideas. Wish to go on more such learning joyrides with us? Feel free to connect with us. We'll be happy to connect with you over LinkedIn. My name is Yasha Vatsa from Star Consulting Global, and it was amazing being with you all during this session. We'll be very happy to connect with you, and I wish you all the very best for your amazing, amazing nurturing of this growth mindset. Do remember, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Start believing in I think I can and I will, right? And I am on it and I'm already working on it. Start with that mindset and there is no stopping. Also remember, never ever settle for this can't be done. Always ask the next question, how can this be done? With this, thank you very much, champions. Namaste.